Okay. Today is July 1st, 2026, and we're going to start the lesson 2, feeling about money, feelings about money. You create your life with your thoughts because you are always thinking, you are always creating. And so what you think about the most or focus on the most is what will appear as your life. That means that your life right now is a reflection of your past thoughts. Think of all the good things in your life and now realize that you brought them all into your life. Your thoughts move the energies of the universe to bring all those good things to you. Obviously, the reverse is also true. All the things that people consider to be not so good in their life, like increasing debt, unpaid bills, or not having enough money to pay the rent, were attracted by their thoughts. Now I know how that sounds. And most certainly, we all know that no one would ever deliberately attract anything unwanted, especially not struggles with money. But without the knowledge of the secret, it is easy to see how some unwanted things may have occurred in your life or other people's lives. They simply came from a lack of awareness of the great creative power of thought. Myself straight. The point is, your life is in your hands. Okay, the point is, your life is in your hands no matter where you are now, no matter what has happened in the past. You can begin to consciously choose your thoughts and you can change your life. For anyone struggling under a mountain of debt, this may well be the best news they've heard in a long time. By consciously choosing only positive thoughts about money, you can overcome any financial difficulties. Remember, nothing can come into your experience unless you summon it through persistent thoughts. However, scientific research has established that you have around 60,000 thoughts every day. With so many thoughts a day, how can you even tell when your thoughts are positive and when they are negative? Through your feelings tell you very quickly what you're thinking. Whenever you think about what you want and love, you feel good. But of course, the reverse is also true. Think about, think back to a time when your feelings suddenly took a dive. Maybe when you were hit with a large, very large bill that you couldn't afford to pay. That feeling in your stomach or solar plexus was instant. Those feelings are an immediate signal for you to know that your thoughts are negative. So you want to become aware of how you're feeling and get in tune with how you're feeling because it is the fastest way for you to know what you're thinking. And when you know what you're thinking, then you'll know what you are in the process of attracting. Feel good about money. If you feel good when you think about money, then you will receive back positive circumstances and experience surrounding money. But if you feel bad when you think about money, perhaps because you don't have enough, then you must receive back negative circumstances and experiences of not having enough money. Those negative feelings you're experiencing are a sure sign of your negative thinking about money, and they forecast what you are in the process of attracting. For one young woman, outstanding repair bills for her car forced her into working 3 dead end jobs that made her feel frustrated and miserable. No matter how hard she worked, she never seemed to have enough money to clear her debts. Finally, she managed to scrape together enough cash and was on her way to make the final payment for her for the repairs. When she sustained even more damage to her car, this plunged her further into debt, resulting in even more negative thoughts and negative feelings. Instinctively, she knew the only way out of this cycle of negativity was to begin to think better thoughts and feel good. She decided to quit 2 of her jobs and dip into her savings to cover the bills while she worked on feeling better. A short time later, a job opportunity came up working as a chef in a retail establishment. The more she looked into it, the more she came to see that this was her dream job and that she was perfectly qualified. However, she faced a competitive field of applicants and had to go through several rounds of interviews and a full presentation in front of company heads. But with her fresh, positive outlook and good feelings about herself, she was able to rise above all the other candidates to secure the position. She was delighted to find that her starting wage was significantly higher than she'd expected, and she was able to clear all of her debts quickly. She can now afford to live the life she's always wanted, and all thanks to her focus on feeling good regardless of her circumstances. The most important thing for you to know is that your good feelings are always associated with good thoughts, and your bad feelings are always associated with bad thoughts. It is impossible to feel bad and at the same time be having good thoughts. That would defy the law because your thoughts cause your feelings. If you are feeling anxious over the state of your finances, it is because you are thinking thoughts that are making you feel anxious. As you feel anxious about money and don't make any effort to change your thoughts and feel better, you are in effect saying, bring me more financial circumstances that will make me feel anxious. Bring it on. Likewise, it is impossible to feel good about money and at the same time be having negative thoughts. If you are feeling good, it is because you are thinking good thoughts. As you are thinking good thoughts, you are emitting a powerful frequency that is attracting back to you more good things that will make you feel good. Be aware that as you are feeling good, you are powerfully attracted all good things to you, including money. A shortcut to riches. I want to let you in on a secret to the secret. The shortcut to anything you want in life is to be and feel happy now. It is the fastest way to bring money and anything else you want into your life. Focus on radiating out into the universe those feelings of joy and happiness. When you do that, you are inevitably thinking thoughts of joy and happiness, and you will attract back to you all things that bring you joy and happiness. This will not only include an abundance of money, but everything else you are wanting. Excuse me. The law of attraction is reflecting back your innermost thoughts and feelings as the pictures and experiences of your life. Simply put, feeling happy now is the fastest way to bring money and anything else you like into your life. If you are like most people, you have been living your life saying to yourself, I will be happy when we have more money, or I will be happy when I have a better house, or I will be happy when I get a job or promotion, or I will be happy when the kids are through college, or I will be happy when I can travel. If that's the case, you will never have those things because your thoughts are defying the law of attraction. You have to be happy first to receive happy things. It can't happen any other way because what whatever you want to receive in life, you must first radiate out through your thoughts and feelings. You cannot control all your thoughts, but you are in command of your feelings, and you can change the way you feel about any situation, no matter what is happening around you. When you change the way you feel about a situation, the situation must change to mirror your new thoughts and feelings. If something negative has happened in your life, you can change the situation by changing the way you feel. It is never too late because you can always change the way you feel to receive what you desire, to change anything into what you desire, no matter what the subject. All it takes is changing the way you feel. You may want to travel, but if you feel disappointment because you can't travel, then on the subject of travel, you will continue to receive disappointing circumstances in which you cannot travel. Until you change the way you feel, the law of attraction will move every circumstance for you to travel. But you have to feel good about travel to receive it. Money is no different. You have got to feel good about money to attract more to you. How do you feel about money? Most people would say they feel good about money, but if they don't have enough, they don't feel good about it at all. If a person has all the money they need, they most certainly feel good about money. So you can tell how you feel about money. Because if you don't have all you need, then you don't feel good about money. This is important because the money in your life will never change while you don't feel good about it. In fact, those negative feelings about money are stopping more money coming to you. And worse still, those negative feelings about money attract negative circumstances, such as big bills or things breaking down, which are all circumstances that drain you of money. When you react with negative fears to a big bill, you give out more negative feelings about money, which bring even more negative circumstances to you that drain you of more money. You have got to stop the cycle, and you stop it by starting to feel good about money. When you change the way you feel about money, the amount of money in your life will change. The better you feel about money, the more money you magnetize to you. A game to feel good about money. Here's a game you can play so you remember to feel good about money. Each time you handle it, imagine a dollar bill, imagine the front of the dollar bill as a positive side, which represents plenty of money. Imagine the back of the dollar bill is the negative side, representing a lack of money. Each time you handle money, deliberately flip the bill so the front is facing you. Put bills in your wallet with the front facing you. When you hand over money, make sure the front is facing upward. By doing this, you are using money as your cue to remember to feel good about plenty of money. Seize every moment that you are handling money to make the money multiply by feeling good. Feel good when you pay for anything. Feel good when you hand over money. Feel good about what you are paying for. And don't resent the fact that you now have less money. Feel good about everything that money brings into your life. Feel good for the groceries. Feel good for the clothes you wear. Feel good for the gasoline and feel good for the car you drive. Feel good for the home you live in. Feel good for the electricity and the telephone and water supply. Always remember that you are receiving valuable goods and services in exchange for your money. And that is something to feel good about. As you feel good for things you are buying, it will make you feel good about the money you're giving instead of feeling bad because you have less money. Ways to feel good about bills. If you don't have much money, then it's probably true that receiving bills won't make you feel good. But the moment you react negatively to a big bill, those bad feelings ensure that you will continue to attract more bills. The most important thing is that when you pay your bills, you find a way, any way to make yourself feel good. Never pay your bills when you don't feel good because you will just bring bigger bills to you. You have to find a way that works for you to focus on prosperity despite the bills around you. You have to find a way of feeling good so you can bring your good to you. To change what you're feeling, you need to use your imagination to turn your bills into something that makes you feel good. You can imagine they're not really bills at all, but instead you decided to donate money to each company or person out of the goodness of your heart because of the wonderful service they provide. A game I created that helped shift my feelings about my pile of bills was to pretend that the bills were actually checks. As I opened them, I would jump for joy and say, "More money for me. Thank you. Thank you." I took each bill, imagined it was a check, and then I added a zero to it in my mind. To make it even more, I got a notepad and wrote at the top of the page, "I have received." And then I would list all the amounts of the bills with an added zero. Next to each amount, I would write, "Thank you," and the feeling and feel the feelings of gratitude for receiving it to the point where I had tears in my eyes. Then I would take each bill, which looked very small compared to what I had imagined receiving, and I paid it in my mind with gratitude until I literally received enough funds to be able to pay it. I never opened my bills until I got my 17th feeling that they were checks. If I opened my bills before convincing myself they were checks, my stomach would churn. When I opened them, I knew that the emotion of the churning in my stomach was powerfully bringing more bills. I knew I had to erase that feeling, that fear, and replace it with joyful feelings so I could bring more money into my life. In the face of a pile of bills that game worked for me. In the face of a pile of bills, that game worked for me and it changed my life. Naturally, I would have loved to have known about this much earlier in life. And so this and so it's always a delight to hear about young people using the secret to overcome their own struggles with money. For a recent college graduate, the stress of covering his monthly student loan repayments was becoming a regular source of anxiety. Raising the $4.94 each month was hard enough at the best of times, but his regular work dried up. He had no idea how he was going to pay. That's when he decided to apply the law of attraction and hopefully end this cycle of money worries that he felt each month. Instead of stressing over where he would get the money, he made the effort to shift his energy from negative to positive. And anytime a thought arose about payment, he simply pictured a friendly, smiling face handing him exactly $494. Shortly after, he was offered a one-off gig as a bouncer at a bar over a holiday weekend. The job didn't pay very well, and it promised to be hard work and long hours controlling a a, a raucous holiday crowd. But with nothing better, but with nothing better on offer, he took the job. Come the weekend, he was surprised how much he enjoyed himself. In fact, it didn't even feel like work to him as he met many new friends and had a great time. At the end of the weekend, after closing time, the bar staff gathered to enjoy a quiet drink together. That's when the bar manager approached him smiling and handed over an envelope containing his share of the weekend tips. Better still, he offered regular work through the rest of the summer. The college graduate happily accepted. Later, as he counted out his share of the tips, he was amazed to find $494. He had manifested the exact amount of money he needed, and it arrived in exactly the same way he had imagined, with a happy, smiling face, handed it to him. And all because he shifted the way he felt from worry over money to feeling good. Fear and the law of attraction. If you have feelings about money that involve worry or even fear, then of course you cannot receive more money. The law of attraction says that like attracts like. So if you feel fearful about the state of your money, then you must receive more situations that will continue to make you feel that that will continue to make you fearful about money. The law of attraction says that like attracts like. So if you feel fearful about the state of your money, then you must receive more situations that will continue to make you fearful about money. Fear is one of the most debilitating emotions that there is. But the truth is, every one of us can live a life without fear. The key to absolute freedom and joy for each and every one of us is to let go of fear. When you understand that fear puts you on a frequency of attracting more fearful events and circumstances into your life, you will understand how important it is to shift yourself. People are in fear of losing their job or of not being able to pay the bills, of foreclosure on their mortgage, and the list goes on. But the fear of those things is actually summoning them to us. The law of attraction is impersonal, and whatever we focus on with feeling is coming to us. A perfect example to demonstrate fear and the law of attraction is action is this. A perfect example to demonstrate fear and the law of attraction in action is this. You may know of people who acquired massive wealth, lost it all, and within a short time acquired massive wealth again. What happened in these cases, whether they knew it or not, was that their dominant thoughts were on wealth. That is how they acquired it in the first instance. Then they allowed fearful thoughts of losing the wealth to enter their mind until those fearful thoughts of loss became their dominant thoughts. They tipped the scales from thinking thoughts of wealth to thinking thoughts of loss. And so they lost it all. Once they had lost it, however, the fear of loss disappeared and they tipped the scales back with dominant thoughts of wealth and wealth return. The law responds to your thoughts, no matter what they may be. When fearful thoughts come, stamp them out immediately. Send them on their way and replace them with anything that makes you feel good. According to the secret, you can have, be, or do whatever you want in your life, no limits. But there's one catch. You have to feel good. And when you think about it, isn't that all you ever want? The law of attraction is indeed perfect. Lesson 3, a wealth mindset. Now that you know the secret, when you see someone who is wealthy, you will know that that person's predominant thoughts are on wealth and not on life. They have drawn wealth to them through the law of attraction, whether they did it consciously or unconsciously. They focused on thoughts of wealth, and the universe moved people, circumstances, and events to deliver wealth to them. The wealth that they have, you can also have. The only difference between you and them is that they thought the thoughts to bring the wealth to them. Your wealth is waiting for you in the invisible. So to bring it into the visible, think wealth. However, attracting wealth through the law of attraction doesn't necessarily mean that you will hold onto that wealth. That's because making wealth stick to you requires consistency with your thoughts. It's the difference between thinking about money and only when you need money and changing your whole relationship with money so that you change your way of life. What do I mean by that? Okay, well, imagine that you are wealthy right now. Imagine that you have all the money you need right now. How would you live your life differently? Think about all the things you would do. How would you feel? You would feel different. And because you would feel different, you would not walk differently. You would talk differently. You would hold your body in a different way. And you would move differently. You would react differently to everything. Your reaction to bills would be different. Your reaction to people, circumstances, events, and everything in life would be different because you feel different. You would feel different. You would be relaxed. You would have peace of mind. You would feel happy. You would be easygoing about everything. You would enjoy every day without giving any concern to tomorrow. The reason that you would talk differently and feel differently and live differently is that you would be fundamentally different. The difference between someone who is struggling financially and someone who has a fabulous life of wealth comes down to one thing: it's their mindset. Wealth mindset versus poverty mindset. People who are happy and successful think more about the good things that can happen, think more about having happiness, having money, and creating a rich and meaningful life than they do the opposite of those things. They have a wealth mindset. People who are struggling are unintentionally using their imagination for what they don't want and are feeling the negativity of what they are imagining. They are often overwhelmed by thoughts and fears of lack and struggle. They have a poverty mindset. A mindset is such a simple thing, but it creates vast differences in people's lives. It explains why the top few percent own the vast majority of the world's wealth. These people not only attract money to themselves, but they also made money stick to themselves. If you took all the money
Johnson Erica or
in the
Erica Eno.
world and you distributed it equally Oh, I'll call you back. I'm on the read. Okay, bye. A mindset is such a simple thing, but it creates vast differences in people's lives. It explains why the top few percent own the vast majority of the world's wealth. These people not only attracted money to themselves, but they also made money stick to themselves. If you took all the money in the world and you distributed it equally to every person, within a short time, all the money would be back in the hands of the few percent. This is because the law of attraction responds to a wealth mindset. And so the few percent with a wealth mindset would magnetize the money back to them. The law of attraction moves all the money and riches in the world, and it moves it toward a wealth mindset. You can see the law of attraction and mindsets working together when people win the lottery. These winners imagined and felt with all their heart that they would win the lottery. They spoke about when they win the lottery, not if they win the lottery. And they planned and imagined what they would do when they won. They believed they would win and they won. But the statistics on lottery winners show the real evidence of having a wealth or a poverty mindset. Within a few years of winning, the majority of the people have lost the money and are in more debt than before the lottery. This happens because they use the law of attraction to win the lottery. But even when they received the money, they didn't change their mindset about money and they lost it all. The money didn't stick to them. When you have a poverty mindset, you repel money. It will never stick to you. Even when you get some extra money, you don't figure on receiving. In no time at all, you will find that it has slipped through your fingers. Bigger bills come in, things break down, and unforeseen circumstances of every kind occur, all of which drains you of money and takes it right out of your hand. So why is it that so many people have a poverty mindset? It's not just because they have never had money, as many of the wealthiest people on the planet began with nothing. The reason why so many people have a poverty mindset is that they retain negative beliefs about money. And those negative beliefs were fed into their subconscious minds when they were children. Beliefs like, we can't afford it. Money is evil. Rich people must be dishonest. Wanting money is wrong, and it's not spiritual. Having plenty of money means hard work. When you are a child, you accept just about everything told to you by your parents, teachers, or society. And so, without realizing it, you are like most people. You grew up having a negative mindset about money. The irony is that at the same time that you told that wanting money is wrong, you are told that you have to earn a living, even if it means doing work you don't love. Maybe you were even told that there are only certain jobs you can do to earn a living. That it's a limited list. None of these things is true. None of these things are true. The people who told you these things are innocent because they were passing on what they believed and felt was true. But because they believed it, the law of attraction made it true in their lives. This was very much the life experience for one young man from a working class family who had dreams of becoming a creative writer despite excelling at school. He was raised to believe that the best opportunities were reserved for the wealthy and the well connected. So he left school and went to work in a factory where he stayed for 9 long years, working on a production line. He hated the work, and his colleagues were generally angry and unpleasant. In the meantime, he applied for many different jobs requiring creative talent, but was always told he lacked qualifications or experience. He looked into further education, but being surrounded by so much negativity about money, he convinced himself that he could never afford the tuition fees. This, of course, became a self-fulfilling prophecy. The courses that appealed to him were all way too expensive. It was only when he discovered the secret that he began to develop a more positive outlook and belief in himself. He convinced himself to take satisfaction from his work each day and to appreciate his job and the people he worked with. Then each night as he went to bed, he imagined receiving a call from a new employer offering him his dream job. He would drift off to sleep, crying tears of joy. Soon after, a friend alerted him to a local radio station seeking a copywriter for their advertisements. He applied immediately and was invited to submit a sample script for an advertising campaign. As he worked on the assignment, he imagined he was doing the job for real, and it felt so right. Suddenly, his aspirations of being a creative writer went from being no more than a pipe dream to something he truly believed in. He swept through the interview process without anyone asking about his qualifications or experience. They were simply so impressed by his talent and positive self-belief that it didn't seem to matter. He was offered the job in a phone call, just as he had imagined. He had risen from a dead-end factory job to become a creative writer at a radio station, simply by changing his mindset about what he could do. If you lack money in your life or opportunities in your career, it is because you are thinking more negative thoughts than you are thinking positive thoughts. That, in essence, is a poverty mindset. I came from a working class family, and even though my parents didn't desire a lot of money, they struggled to make ends meet. So I grew up with the same negative beliefs about money as most people. I grew up with a poverty mindset. I knew I had to change my mindset about money to change my circumstances. I knew I had to change myself completely so money would not only come to me, but stick to me. Like every other human being, one of the most difficult things for me to wrestle with was my mindset. But once I really got it, that I was thwarting my own success and making myself miserable, that's when I began to adopt a positive mindset about money and everything else in life. And I did that with one positive thought at a time. You see, your mindset is of your own creation. It's your beliefs that form your mindset. And all beliefs are simply repeated thoughts with strong feelings attached to them. Therefore, the first step in changing your mindset is to take responsibility for your own thoughts. Once you accept that it's the thoughts you are thinking that attract riches or keep you in poverty, then you will begin to change the kinds of thoughts you think And as you do that, you would choose to start thinking at life through optimistic eyes. Choose optimism. The truth is, every single person with a wealth mindset is an optimist when it comes to money. When you have freedom to choose to be optimistic or pessimistic about money and everything else in your life, you can choose to peel off your old negative mindset like a suit of clothes and put on a brand new spanking new mindset every single day by changing your thoughts about money. It's as simple as that. Now, some might argue that it's not so simple to choose to be positive or optimistic under the weight of extremely negative circumstances. For instance, unemployment, homelessness, bankruptcy, or any other misfortune. However, as the experience of one struggling businessman shows, there is no such thing as a hopeless situation. Every single circumstance of your life can change. If this man, in this man's case, he had taken over a family business, but lacking experience and support, he ran it into the ground and was forced to close the doors. On the brink of bankruptcy, he carried 100,000 in personal debt and was working 3 jobs, just trying to make ends meet. He was exhausted and stressed with his new marriage on the rocks and wondering how it all got so bad. He made a desperate decision to take his own life, but at the last instant, he changed his mind. That very day, his mother introduced him to the Secret documentary film. And as he watched it, tears streamed down his cheeks. He realized that all of the negative circumstances were of his own making due to his negative thinking. It then occurred to him that if he was capable of creating so much misfortune, then he was equally capable of creating a fortune. His entire outlook on life was transformed. Soon after, he entered real estate sales and set himself a goal of earning 100,000 in a year. The same amount of his debt. He achieved that goal with ease and has since gone on to live a life of prosperity and abundance, bringing in over $1 million a year thanks to his newfound self-belief and positive outlook. Because of the duality on earth, there are always going to be both positive and negative experiences. But if you consistently look for the good and maintain a positive attitude, despite outside circumstances, you will triumph. On the other hand, if you look to outside circumstances in the world to form your attitude, you'll be in trouble. That will require every circumstance around you to be perfect all the time. So you could be positive, and you cannot control every circumstance. It would also require a lot of people to have perfectly all the time, and you cannot control anyone but yourself. It would also require a lot of people to behave perfectly all the time, and you cannot control anyone but yourself. If you think about it, you would actually need all the billions of us to shape up into what you want so you can have a positive attitude. You simply can't look to outside circumstances to dictate what kind of attitude you will have. If you do, you will always find a circumstance of a person that will give you a reason to have a negative attitude. In order to become your most powerful tool, your attitude must be dictated from within. To establish a positive attitude, it doesn't matter what financial state you're in now. It doesn't even matter what financial state your business, your country, or the world is in. In fact, there are people who lived during the Great Depression who thrived because they maintained their wealth mindset. They remained positive and optimistic, and they defied the circumstances and the air of extreme pessimism that surrounded them. A positive and optimistic attitude doesn't mean you don't have occasional down days. You will have some down days. It's not about the occasional down days, though. It's about how many of the precious days of your life you're enjoying because of your positive and optimistic attitude. I'm sure you've known someone who is always up and has a cheerful and bright attitude and outlook toward life. And when you are with them, you also feel fantastic and full of life. That's what an optimistic attitude does for you. On the other hand, a pessimistic attitude toward life means a miserable life. At some point in your life, you've no doubt encountered someone who is pessimistic about everything. And when you are with them, it sucks the energy and the joy out of you. Well, that's precisely what a pessimistic outlook or attitude does to you. A pessimist is never happy. It's not possible. Because even if they had everything they wanted, the glass would still look half empty to them. That's why pessimists can never have what they want. And that's why you must do everything you can to be an optimist rather than a pessimist. So, how do you flip from being a pessimist to being an optimist? How do you change your poverty mindset into a wealth mindset, regardless of what is happening around you? Well, there are a few positive traits of optimistic people that you can adopt to help you form your wealth mindset and to live the life of your dreams. Don't discuss bad news. The first thing to do is to avoid talking about any difficulties with money, a failed deal, or that the profits of your business are down. Stop thinking about a bad event in the news or a person or situation that annoyed or frustrated you. Don't talk about the bad day you had, being late for an appointment, getting caught in traffic, or missing the bus. There are many little things that happen each day. If you get caught up in talking about the negative things that happen, then every one of those little things brings more struggle and difficulty to your life. Instead, you have to talk about the good news of the day. Talk about the appointment that went well. Talk about how you love being on time. Talk about how good it is to be full of health. Talk about the points, the profits. Talk about the profits you want your business to achieve. Talk about the situations and interactions you had in your day that went well. You have to talk about the good things to bring all good things to you. If someone offered you the life of your dreams in exchange for your finding many good things to talk about, you would do it in a flash. Well, that is the way you receive the life of your dreams. Don't complain. Another positive trait among optimists that you should adopt is the refusal to complain or be discouraged when things don't go your way. Just ask yourself whether you think complaining can transform a person's life into success and happiness. Do you think being easily discouraged or dejected by bad news can fulfill a person's dreams and give them financial freedom? No. Complaining and being dejected are excuses we make when we're not living the life we came here to live. And because we see people around us who complain and get discouraged, we can get this mistaken impression that it's okay and won't harm us. But all of those negative emotions will pull you down and disempower you until you feel hopeless. None of those emotions can ever fill you with the happiness and success you want and deserve. None of those emotions will lead you to the life of your dreams. For a college student attending an expensive private university, the announcement of cuts to the financial aid package could easily have sent her spiraling into negativity. She learned that she would only receive around 5,000 and would therefore be short by up to 35,000 to cover her tuition for the following year. Many of her fellow students had received similar cuts in their award package and had taken to social media in theory, claiming that their education was over. But rather than join them in their blaming and complaining, this young woman chose to remain positive. She was grateful for her education, refusing to criticize the university, and felt optimistic that somehow it would all work out in her favor. She prayed and thanked God, the universe, and everything else in advance for helping pay for her tuition fees. She reached available scholarships. She researched available scholarships and grants and inquired at the financial aid office about having her case reviewed. She was invited to fill out an application online, and so she went back to double check the amount of her award and exactly how much she was short. When she did, she was amazed to find that the final award figure all had already changed. Now there was no shortfall, and she was being completely covered for her tuition fees for the following year. As this young woman discovered, it pays to stay positive. Well, this concludes our lesson for today. And we will start tomorrow
Thank you so much.
with the desire everything and need nothing.
Thank you for the reading today.
Yes, you're welcome.
And I see you tomorrow.
Yes, you're welcome.
And have a good day.
Okay, and you have a good day. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Till later.
Yes. I love you.
I love you too. And thank you. I'm
Welcome.
inspired.
So did you practice the lesson in the book to make your money? Or she left. Yeah.